I put down $15,200 for everything. Flights, the cabin, even the rental SUV. Then they removed me from the group chat and forgot to tell me the new plan. So I canceled every reservation in my name and watched the missed calls stack up while they stood outside in the cold, realizing I'd just ruined the trip they tried to take without me. They believed they had exiled me, left me adrift and mortified, a discarded remnant after I'd bankrolled their lavish escape. Little did they comprehend, I was merely thawing, preparing for a devastating counter-assault. It began subtly, or so I convinced myself. An offhand remark from my uncle. Must feel good to be left out, huh? Half jest, half barb, still echoed. I'd brushed it aside, a casual jest after I'd offered to cover a family dinner. I was wrong. Then came December 23rd. The dawn was a stark, chilling void. No customary frantic calls, no rushed farewells, no comforting scent of breakfast from the kitchen. Only an oppressive quiet, a suffocating shroud of absence. My suitcase, a relic from my last work trip, sat abandoned in the hall. My toothbrush remained dry, my wallet still heavy in my pocket. I rationalized, convincing myself it was a dream, or they were merely delayed. I dialed. Mom answered, her voice laced with a peculiar surprise. Hey, where is everyone? I inquired, my tone betraying none of the creeping dread. A pregnant pause ensued, a reservoir of silence building behind her dam-like words. Then, her muffled confession, oh, we thought you were in the van with your cousins. I didn't scream. I didn't demand answers. I simply stated nothing and ended the call. 17 people, a massive family trip, and not a single soul had registered my absence. No quick check-in, no reserved seat, absolutely nothing. Mom tried to backtrack. I swear Henry told me you were in the car. Maybe there was a mix-up. Another stretch of dead air. I ended the call again. I didn't question why I wasn't in the group chat, why I'd been excluded from planning, or why I'd paid for the Airbnb in the first place. Yes, $15,200 now sat on my credit card, yet I remained uncounted. 2 hours later, my phone lit up. It was a screenshot from my sister, Lily, clearly misdirected, probably meant for her friend Caitlin. It displayed the family group chat, all 17 names, with a pinned itinerary. Her text below read, he's really not here. OMG, our plan worked. My blood ran frigid. I stared immobile. No immediate reply. No frantic call. I simply sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, accessed my Airbnb account, and with a quiet, decisive click, canceled. The refund was instant. $15,200 returned to my card within days. Then a single message to Lily, Merry Christmas. No punctuation, no emojis, no discernible rage. Just a line I knew they'd never forget. 30 minutes later, my phone ignited. 42 missed calls, then 70. A single text flashed. Emergency. I smiled faintly and powered it off. Stage 2 had begun. Dad was the first call I finally answered. His voice was raw, as if he'd been shouting for hours. What did you do? You canceled the whole house. I maintained my voice calm, almost detached. No, Dad. I canceled my booking. It just so happens it was the entire booking because it was on my card. He snarled. You think this is a joke? There are 17 people standing outside a cabin in the snow. I shot back. You think I'm a joke? Then I hung up. I turned my phone back on, but ignored it for another hour. By then, panic had reached a fever pitch, an orchestra of desperate calls from Mom, Aunt Marianne, Cousin John, Lily, even her boyfriend Henry, who had apparently joined the family without my ever receiving a group invite. I simply watched. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing to mend what they had broken. They didn't expect me to fight back. For 3 years, I'd financed every holiday rental. We'll send you our share later. They'd always promise and never did. Every cousin's birthday present on my tab. Who did Lily call every time her car broke down? Not because I was her brother, but because I was the default option, the walking ATM. Mom had even told me once, you're the responsible one. That's why we rely on you. I was the silent one. That's why they assumed I wouldn't resist. They treated me like a credit card that never expires, always ready for their false apologies and actual lies. By Christmas Eve, their desperation was palpable. Mom texted, We didn't mean to exclude you. There was just a lot going on with Lily's kids and Henry's visa. Please, let's not ruin Christmas. I didn't respond. Lily, ever the influencer, posted to Instagram from a rural cafe. Black coffee, tangled hair, with a caption, "Family means not always agreeing, but always forgiving." I actually laughed. The comments poured in, "Stay strong, babe. Hope things calm down soon." People reveal themselves when it matters most. Then I saw it. A story from her private account, the one I wasn't supposed to follow anymore. It was a screenshot of our family group chat, minus me. The caption, "He's finally out. Can't believe it took this long." Below it, a photo of the Airbnb refund email. The one I received, they planned it. They knew I'd fund the trip, knew I'd be excluded, and assumed I'd still pay. I started digging. Not just Airbnb. Lily had been using my Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, even ordering hiking gear. None of it for me. None of it with me, but all on my tab. Then I saw it. A $780 charge for an Aspen ski rental shop. I'd never even been skiing. They'd use my login, my autofill card, my identity. I took screenshots of everything. Then I dug up the family group chat from 2 years ago, when Lily had begged me to help consolidate her debt. Just for 3 months, she'd said. It had reached $31,000. Silence had become sabotage. On Christmas night, I made a post. Not public, not yet. Just a close friend story with a refund confirmation and this caption. Turns out I wasn't as invisible as they thought. By the next morning, messages poured in from people I hadn't heard from in years. Uncle John, "Hey man, I had no idea they didn't invite you." That's not right. I just came because they said you couldn't make it. Aunt Mary Ann, you were paying for everything? I thought your parents covered the house. But the true gold came from Henry, Lily's tag-along boyfriend. He texted nervously at first. Then, "Dude, I didn't know about any of this. I thought you were staying back for work. Lily said you volunteered to cover Airbnb. Then she said you didn't like being around people anymore. That you were fragile." Fragile. Dad had used that exact word last year when I told him I was burned out at work. Fragile boys don't last long in real life. He'd scoffed. Henry's revelation blew everything open. He called that evening, his voice shaking. He told me everything. Lily had been planning the ideal family vacation since October. Her words, not mine. Her Christmas rebrand, a new feeling, new family structure, no drama, which apparently meant no me. She told Henry she'd handle Airbnb, then told Mom I'd volunteer to cover it. She never added me to the travel documents, never invited me to any planning calls. She just said, "You just get in the way." Henry murmured that he tried to push back, saying I should be included. Lily assured him, "Don't worry. He's used to being left out. He won't even notice." I hung up without a word. That night, I created a new folder, evidence. Screenshots, emails, Lily's Instagram posts, Amazon invoices, Airbnb costs sold. Conversations where they'd sworn I was part of the family, but was always the last to know and the first to pay. Then I opened a new tab and typed $15,200 Airbnb chargeback plus fraud. My next step was in motion. They assumed I was gone, that I'd pouted in silence like I always did, retreating to my small apartment with half-finished puzzles and unspoken grudges, allowing them to celebrate uninterrupted. They were wrong. While they walked through snowy woods, smiling for photos and matching flannels, I was already 10 steps ahead. I knew exactly where they were. How Lily, the smart tactician, had forgotten my Spotify account was still active on her phone. She'd been using my premium for months, but more importantly, it displayed her GPS pin. I tracked her movements in real time. The cabin, the store, the hiking paths. Next, their Christmas dinner reservation. 7 p.m., Mountain Hearth Lodge, Aspen Room. I reserved a table at the same lodge an hour earlier. I packed my laptop, the evidence folder, a printed stack of every transaction from my card, and my phone with screenshots queued. I pulled on a suit I hadn't worn since my last job interview and drove up the mountain in silence. Just me, the engine, and the cold, burning anger. At 7 p.m., the Aspen Room. They were already seated at tables pushed together. The real family, all 17 of them. My seat, of course, was empty. I watched from across the room for a moment. Mom smiled uneasily. Dad poured wine like a senator. Lily was glued to her phone, probably checking likes on her blessed Christmas post. Henry looked miserable. Then I walked in. The room went dead silent. Forks froze midair. Someone mumbled, "Oh no." I think it was Aunt Julia. "Hey everyone," I said pleasantly. "I heard we were having Christmas dinner." Nobody spoke. Lily finally found her voice. "This isn't your reservation." I smiled. "Actually, it is. You're sitting under my name. The one that paid for the lodge package. Check the receipt." Dad stood up. "You're making a scene?" "No," I replied, my voice steel. "I'm making a point." I took out my laptop, opened a folder, and turned the screen toward the table. "Let's take a look," I said. It was the moment everything came apart. First, the Airbnb invoice. My name, my card, $15,200. Then the time-stamped reimbursement confirmation. Then Lily's text. "He's really not here." OMG, our plan worked. Lily tried to speak. I held up my hand. Next, the Amazon orders. Hiking gear, ski boots, Lily's new parka. All on my Prime. Then Netflix, Spotify, Uber, all me. I turned to my parents. "Here are your grocery delivery receipts. The ones you said came from your pension. Funny, this card says otherwise." Then I pulled out the final sheet. Lily's private story. He's finally out. Can't believe it took this long. There was no sound. Mom looked like she'd swallow glass. Dad's jaw was clenched so tight, I thought he might break a tooth. Henry slowly stood up, cleared his throat. "Yeah, I'm done." Lily spun around. "What? Seriously?" He raised a hand. "I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt, but this is cruel. You used him, lied to all of us, and for what? A photo op." She stammered. "You don't understand." "I understand enough," he snapped. "I'm not staying another night in that cabin. You people are impossible." The family had fractured. Aunt Marianne whispered to Mom. Uncle John said, "I didn't know you were paying for all this, man. I thought you just didn't want to come." Dad finally erupted. "This is exactly why we didn't invite you. You always act like a victim, always trying to make people feel guilty." I moved closer. "No," I replied. "I act like someone who's tired of paying for the privilege of being ignored." Then I pulled out the final item, a portable speaker. I pressed play. Lily's voice filled the room, clear as glass. "Don't worry, he's used to being left out. He won't even notice." It was a month-old voice memo she'd sent to Henry, automatically saved. Lily rushed forward. "Turn it off." I turned it up. Mom stood up. "Please, we can talk about this." "No," I replied. "Talking time is over." I took out a small card, business card size, in a simple serif font. It read, "This dinner was paid for by the one you left behind. Bon appetit." I placed it in the center of the table, closed my laptop, and walked away. Behind me, I heard chairs scrape, a plate clatter, and someone murmur, "Jesus Christ." Outside, snow had just begun to fall. By the time I returned to the city, my story had already begun to resonate. Henry drove straight home and wrote a short, passionate post. Sometimes you find out too late that the people closest to you are capable of orchestrating cruelty like it's a holiday plan. He didn't name anyone. He didn't have to. People connected the dots quickly. The next morning I went public. I created a thread. No dramatic caption. Just this. They left for a large family trip for cars. 17 people and one group chat without me. I awoke alone in the house I had paid for. 2 hours later, I received a message. He actually isn't here. OMG, our strategy worked. So, I canceled the $15,200 booking. And then I hit play on reality. Below were screenshots of transactions, the voice memo, the messages, the lodge receipt, and my final dinner table photo showing 17 people transfixed in silence. It blew up. Thousands of likes, retweets, comments, and DMs. Everyone shared their own stories. The sibling who always paid, parents who used guilt, relatives who only knew your name when the rent was due. Someone wrote, "You didn't just cancel Christmas. You reclaimed it." Mom texted me the next evening. "Please delete that post. People are calling. We're embarrassed. This wasn't supposed to go public. Your father says you've gone too far. He's thinking of talking to a lawyer." Lily hasn't stopped crying. I didn't respond. Lily messaged the next day. "You ruined everything." I finally replied, "No, Lily." I revealed it. On December 26th, I share a video. Just me. One chair, white background, calm voice. I didn't want to do this, I said. But you cast me as the villain before I even saw the script. You organized a trip with my money, but without my name. Then you laughed while I wasn't present. So here's the truth. Not for vengeance, but for the record. I lay it all out. The quiet years of being the responsible one. How they'd used me, alienated me, and then tried to gaslight me into silence. I played the voice memo. I concluded, if you're watching this and you've ever been the one left behind, here's your sign. It's not your fault. It's theirs. The video hit 3 million views in a week. They tried to save face. Dad issued a half apology on Facebook. Families fight, but real men don't air dirty laundry. Uncle John commented, should have just invited him. Lily tried to turn the narrative, posting an Instagram story with a black screen. People change when you stop letting them manipulate you. I see clearly now. I laughed out loud. She was trying to play the victim. Then something unexpected happened. 3 of my younger cousins, the quiet, overlooked ones, messaged me separately. Each said something similar. Thank you for saying what we couldn't. One even said, I saw myself in your video. I thought I was crazy. Now I know I'm not. That hit me harder than anything. This wasn't just my story. It was a blueprint for getting out. Then came a business offer. An email from a content platform I'd never heard of. They wanted to adapt my experience into a short docuseries. Anonymous, narrated, visualized. I said yes with one condition. I don't want to be famous. I want people like me to feel seen. They agreed. Another email arrived. This one from a law firm. Not for me, for them. Lily, it turned out, had used my name and financial information on a health insurance application to get better coverage. Fraudulent. Traceable. Legal implications pending. No more silent generosity. On New Year's Eve, I shared one final story. A photo of my apartment. Pleasant. Clean. A glass of wine on the windowsill. Caption, this year I unwrapped the truth, and it was better than anything I ever got under the tree. No likes from the family. Only strangers' hearts and a few friends I didn't know I had. I spent the night alone watching fireworks, and I've never felt so free. On January 3rd, I changed my number. No warning, no goodbye messages. Just let it die like a forgotten voicemail on a phone that no longer charges. I watched the last few messages arrive like clockwork. Lily, are you really going to erase all of us? Dad, you made your point. Now act like a man and fix this. Mom, you're still my son. That matters more than anything, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Because what I finally realized, what burned through every last excuse in my chest, was that love never included me. I was included because of my usefulness. The second I stopped paying, absorbing, and apologizing, I was no longer a family member. I was noise, an issue, a danger to their narrative. I didn't ignore them. I outgrew them. I signed a lease for a new place. Downtown, 27th floor, south-facing windows, no spare bedrooms, no couch big enough to crash on. The first item I unpacked was a photo of me taken during that dinner, just before I walked away from the table of 17. I framed it, hung it in the hallway, not as a trophy, but as a reminder, never beg to be where you're not wanted. They couldn't disregard the message. On January 8th, I received a letter, real paper, stamped envelope from my parents' attorney. Our clients are concerned about reputational damage. They ask that you remove any public-facing posts and make a statement emphasizing that your social media content is fictional. It was hilarious. I responded, my content is factual, documented, and protected. If you proceed, you will discover bank records, text archives, voice memos, and eyewitnesses. Good luck with the fraud probe on Lily's insurance claim. That wasn't even my report. I never heard from the lawyer again. I created something bigger than vengeance. Within 6 weeks of going public, I was invited to appear on 3 podcasts, a panel discussion on toxic family dynamics, and a documentary shoot in Toronto. I turned down most of them, but I did one. The host asked, what do you say to people who tell you that blood is thicker than water? I grinned and replied, then don't be surprised when your own family tries to drown you. Then came the sign, literally. I established a tiny co-working space on the outskirts of the city for creative people, freelancers, People who had clawed their way out of messes and needed a place to rebuild. I called it Not Included, with a place for the ones who got left off the invite in smaller text. On opening day, I taped something to the front counter, a printout of Lily's first message. He's really not here. OMG, our plan worked. Framed under glass with a single statement written below, and now I am. I don't miss them. I miss who I imagined they were. Some people ask me if I've forgiven them. I tell them I've liberated them. It's not the same. I don't detest them. I don't wish them any harm. I just don't carry them anymore. I don't answer unfamiliar numbers. I don't read old message threads. I don't wander past mirrors and wonder what I could have done differently, because the truth is I did everything correctly, and they still decided to go without me. My last comments to them were subtle but final. Christmas card season arrived early this year. I printed only one, sent it to my parents' residence. Inside was a photograph of me standing in front of the Not Included sign. No caption, no return address. Only one post-it note hidden inside. Next time, try paying for your own vacation. I was not forgotten. I was erased, but I converted it into a billboard. They can now drive past it every day, but they can't enter. Not anymore.